Welcome back to another episode of Cruising Off Duty. As you know, we're in the Caribbean doing scuba diving. If you haven't caught the previous episodes, go back and check them out. In the first episode, we went to the Grand Cayman. The next episode, we went to Roatan. And in the last episode, we dove at Belize. We really do enjoy scuba diving in the crystal clear blue water that is the Caribbean. But unfortunately, when we got to Cozumel, Mexico, which is our next stop, we found out the cruise ship had canceled the scuba diving excursion. So as the last minute changeover, we took a dune buggy excursion to a beach where we snorkeled. Clearly not what we were hoping to do, but it was still quite fun. And that leads us to another question we want to answer. Is taking a cruise ship to get around the Caribbean and see a bunch of different islands the best way to get around for the cheapest amount of money? Probably. But is it best to book your excursions through the cruise ship or go privately? We'll answer that in this episode of Cruising Off Duty. So here we are in the port at Cozumel, Mexico, and unlike the last two stops where we had to take tenders to go from the cruise ship to shore, this time we had a nice, easy dock to walk down. But just like every port where every cruise ship stops, the area right around the port seems to be owned by the cruise ship companies, and they kind of turn it into Disneyland. Certainly does not look like the real Mexico. Unfortunately for Janice, there's no time for shopping at the beginning because we're just here waiting for our excursion people to take us to our dune buggy. I don't know, does this pink car with no doors really classify as a dune buggy? The excursion people asked me if I drove stick, and I said yes, and thank God I do because I got one of these real dune buggies. If you only drive automatic, you have to drive the pink mobile. Needless to say, we were very happy that we dodged that bullet. Can you imagine me putting this on the channel if I was driving the pink mobile? That footage would have accidentally gotten lost because if the guys at work saw me in a pink Volkswagen, I would lose my man card. So the general gist of this excursion is they put you in groups of 4 in one in each dune buggy. So we were with another couple we'd never met before, but they were very nice. That guy could also drive stick, so we took turns driving. Being in the back obviously gave you a better opportunity to film, but being in the front was fun. Although I gotta say that standard transmission was pretty damn sloppy. Hard to tell what gear you were in. Sometimes you're in first when you think you're in third, vice versa. It was kind of crazy. And then they drove us around the entire island. Most of the time we could see the water, but sometimes we were cutting through these sort of jungle-like areas. But it was kind of neat because you got to see the local inhabitants and how they lived on the island, which is something you sort of miss out on if you stay near the cruise ship terminal or if you get an excursion where they grab you in a bus right from the terminal and drive you to their excursion location. Sometimes you don't get to really check out the local area. Oh look, it's another pink mobile following us. Seriously, they had 3 of these cars. Anything that wasn't standard was pink. It's like they were deliberately emasculating any man that didn't know how to drive stick. What? No stick? Okay, you get the pink mobile. Hear every guy going, no! Okay, so the first stop they took us to was this nice beach where we went to go snorkeling. There was a cheap excursion that just brought you to the beach for the afternoon, and I'm sure this is the exact same beach. I'd love to show you the snorkeling footage I got here, but my GoPro 5, which is supposed to be waterproof to 33 feet, leaked while I was swimming on the surface. This is the second time it's done this, and the camera's now dead. I'm fighting with GoPro to get me another one. We'll see what happens. I wanted to show you something here. When we're filming with an iPhone X, which is what I've had to do in this entire series since our other camera got left in the car, you're gonna notice this happens from time to time, where your fingers accidentally wrap around the front of the camera without knowing it, and you film your own fingers. Yay! Okay, so it's my turn to drive the buggy. We shall see how it goes. Wish me luck.
You're so good.
Yeah, wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. You're always worried when you're...
There's a little learning curve.
Yeah, you're always worried and trying to find the brakes, trying to find the right clutch. Not bad, not bad.
So we were there.
Okay, now that I'm driving, that means Janice is filming. Janice is trying to film above the windshield, but all that's doing is slapping her hand around in the wind. And the phone really can't handle all that jostling around. But you get the general gist of what the land looks like. It's kind of cool. You get to see the water pretty much this whole trip. Problem with the phone is you hear the noise of the wind, and of course those fingers keep getting in front of the lens. So not much we can do about that. The phone is like a slippery bar of soap, so you often want to wrap your fingers around it so it doesn't fly out of your hand. After this trip, I went out and got an Osmo Mobile 2, which is an electronic gimbal for your phone. That'll definitely save us if we ever need to film again with our iPhone. Sometimes the iPhone is the one camera you always have on you, so if you think you might film, throwing your Osmo Mobile 2 in your bag is probably a good idea. I think a powered gimbal would certainly help this shaky footage, and I really just left it in there so you can see what happens when you try and film with an iPhone outside of a moving vehicle. The wind certainly throws it around. I'll definitely do a tech review of the Osmo Mobile 2 on my other channel, which is a gear review channel called The Average Tech Fan, so go there for more information. Next stop was this Beachfront Restaurant where we got some food and we got to check out the water. This is definitely the windward side of the island though. With all the waves and the rocks, you certainly don't want to try snorkeling on this side of the island. Good times. Wind blown. Look at that hair.
Fun in the back seat. I have my ponytail tied around my hat.
Yeah, her hat doesn't fly off. She's got a trick. And I'm all wind blown after swimming and then back of the buggy. See all the buggies? Yeah, birthday.
Birthday.
Woo, birthday. And the people all behind us are all buggies with us. Awesome. Good time. So from this point, we just drive back through the towns back to the cruise ship. But before we get back on the boat, of course, we take the opportunity to fly my drone, get a little footage of the boats, the harbor, the area. But while I'm showing you that footage, I want to definitely talk to you about our thoughts about taking a cruise ship around the Caribbean to see multiple islands efficiently and cost effectively. We've tried Royal Caribbean, but we always come back to Carnival just because A, the price is really, really good, and B, it's a party boat, so you have a good time as long as you're into that sort of thing. In terms of price, we paid $530 Canadian each, which is what, $400 US each, for 7 days going around the Caribbean. Think about it. Go to a hotel, pay for restaurant food every day, and see if you can go under $100 a day. I think it's nearly impossible. We'll talk about the value of the food and the entertainment in a second, but let's get to that other question that people are always asking me is, should you book your excursions through the cruise ship or do it on your own? Well, we've had a change of heart slightly on this. I mean, if you want to do your own research and find out who has good reviews, by all means, book your excursions privately on each individual island. If you let them know what cruise ship you're coming in on and what time, I'm sure they can set up a shuttle bus to bring you to the excursion or your, in this case, scuba excursion without going through the cruise ship. You'll probably get a slightly better price. And when it comes to things like scuba diving, you'll probably get a better dive. We were told by the scuba companies we dealt with that we were not allowed to dive below 70 feet, and that's the rule of the cruise ship. Now, if you want to dive more than 70 feet, you've got to book privately. For example, if there's a wreck 100 feet down, the excursion companies that deal through the cruise ship will not go down that deep. Plus, the cruise ship canceled our one and only scuba in Cozumel, which was a bit disappointing. Had we booked it privately, we probably wouldn't have run into that problem. So the excursion is the only area where I say maybe you don't go through the cruise ship depending on what you're trying to do. But as for the value in every other area, a cruise ship is the way to go. Needless to say, as you've probably heard from anyone who's been on a cruise, food is unlimited, and we tend to gain about a pound a day. If we go on a 7-day cruise, we gain 7 pounds. If we go on a 10-day cruise, we gain 10 pounds. There's a buffet you can eat at almost any time, and then we like to go to the sit-down dinner where, you know, the food's a little better and you get a little better service than just a walk-up buffet. The Carnival cruise ships have a comedy lounge in the back, and we take advantage of that almost every night. And almost every night there's also a big show in the theater that you can go to, so you can catch that earlier in the evening and then go catch the comedy club later. This was the first Carnival cruise ship where all the dancers were also singers, and we really felt like the production value has gone up over previous Carnival cruises we've been on. If there was ever a knock against Carnival is that they kind of weren't the top of the line when it came to their nightly shows, but like I say, this is the one that really brought it up to another level. So on top of the obviously choreographed shows that were quite good, they also had just a lot of activities for the guests to partake in. Things like the hairy chess competition, and this next competition, which was supposed to be a lip sync competition, but sort of turned into a dance competition. It was quite hilarious. And the guy here at the end ended up winning, and you'll see him later, where he's been brought up on stage to be Tina Turner. Summer or rather, even though I never volunteered, I got dragged on stage to be one of the Supremes. And what do they always say? It's the wig that makes the man. Well, yeah, you're gonna see me wearing a wig in a second.
How they look, everybody? How they look? It's Craig! All right, we're gonna do this one more time. This time we need an extreme makeover. No. We need a supreme makeover. How's that? There it is. Those hips. Before break my heart. One more time. Stop. And again. Oh yeah. Those hips. Before break my heart.
I was going to break out some serious moves if they'd just given me a little bit more space. I felt a little crowded. But in all seriousness, it was a good time, even though they're making fun of me, which is all right by me. Every time we go on a Carnival cruise ship, we have a good time, and it is a really good price. We are not getting paid by Carnival to say that. It's just what we found from going on other cruises. We have more fun on Carnival, and we tend to pay less. So, win-win. So hopefully I convince you that if you need to get around the Caribbean to do excursions like Scuba, that maybe going by cruise ship is your most economical way. Plus, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If so, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're going to get back to sailing around in the Thousand Islands in the next episode. Although it doesn't feel like right now in the middle of April, because it's freaking cold here. But summer is coming, which means sailing, which means adventure. Can't wait. Hope you join us. A special shout out to the patrons that make this channel possible. You guys rock. Until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you the very best, and of course, safe cruising.